Introduction in the modern political arena. Debates are no longer just about policy, poise, or party lines. They're psychological battlegrounds. Among the many controversial legacies of Donald J. Trump, one that political strategists and scholars increasingly dissect is his uncanny ability to dominate debates. Far from being accidental, Trump's debate tactics reveal a deeper layer of psychological strategy, one that reshaped how candidates perform, how media reports, and how voters perceive leadership. Chapter 1. The First Strike, Disruption and Strategy. Donald Trump entered the 2015 Republican primary debates as an outsider. He had no political experience, no filter, and no desire to play by the rules. But that was precisely the weapon. From the opening statements, Trump disrupted the format. He interrupted, talked over moderators, and dismantled traditional decorum. Political scientists would later describe this as a deliberate destabilization strategy. In psychological terms, disrupting the flow forces opponents into a reactive mindset, weakening their ability to respond with composed logic. In the first debate, Trump famously attacked Jeb Bush, branding him as low-end. It was more than a personal jab, it was a cognitive aim. By assigning a simple, sticky label, Trump framed his opponent's identity in the minds of viewers. Bush never escaped. Chapter 2. The Power of Labels. Crooked Hillary. Lion Ted, Sleepy Joe. Trump's use of nicknames was not childish taunting. It was branding, political branding. By boiling down his opponents to single-character flaws, Trump planted subconscious cues in viewers' minds. These labels were repeated, memed, and echoed across social media until they became inseparable from canon. Psychologists called this the primacy effect, the idea that the first impression sticks, especially if it is emotional and easy to remember. Trump's labels worked because they were emotionally charged, visually vivid, and easy to repeat. Chapter 3. Commanding the camera. Trump understood the debate stage not as a forum, but as a television set. While other candidates addressed moderators or looked into the crowd, Trump stared directly into the camera. He addressed the audience at home, not the pundits in the room. In doing so, he used what media experts call the parasocial technique, creating the illusion of intimacy with viewers. It's the same method used by talk show hosts and influencers. It builds trust, familiarity, and most importantly, memorability. His body language further reinforced dominance. He stood close to opponents, loomed over Hillary Clinton in 2016, and used physical positioning to unsettle his rivals. Nonverbal cues like eye rolls, scoffs, smirks spoke as loudly as his words. Chapter 4. Reframing reality. A cornerstone of Trump's debate strategy was reframing. When challenged with facts, he didn't defend or concede. He redefined the context. For example, when confronted with past controversial statements, he would say, "That's what people are thinking," or "everyone knows it." By invoking this silent majority, Trump repositioned his views as common sense rather than outlier opinions. He also employed what psychologists call the illusory truth effect. Repeat something often enough, and people will believe it, regardless of its accuracy. Trump repeated points with such frequency that they often became the de facto narrative. Chapter 5. Chaos as a weapon. Trump's strategy often introduced chaos into an otherwise controlled environment. He would talk over others, inject side comments, or start tangents unrelated to the topic. To viewers at home, it appeared he was in control. To opponents, it forced emotional reactions, anger, visible frustration, and sometimes stuttering. In 2020, during the debate with Joe Biden, Trump interrupted over 70 times. The goal wasn't to win points, it was to disorient and dominate. Psychologists refer to this as cognitive load increase. If you overwhelm someone's brain, you make them easier to outmaneuver. Chapter 6. Weaponizing humor and absurdity. Laughter disarms. Trump's use of humor, irony, and even absurd statements often shifted the energy of debates. He called debate questions nasty, claimed he was being treated unfairly, or mocked moderators. This played into a broader narrative of victimhood and anti-elitism. When the audience laughed, even nervously, it meant Trump had control of the emotional atmosphere. Humor also created a diversion. Instead of answering complex policy questions, Trump often pivoted to jokes, deflections, or unpredictable one-liners. It left opponents